Founding of the CIA, 1947. The creation of the CIA was a landmark event in the history of U.S. intelligence. The National Security Act of 1947, signed into law by President Truman on July 26, established the CIA as the primary civilian intelligence agency of the United States. The act was a response to the fragmented and often ineffective intelligence efforts during World War II and the early Cold War period. The CIA was tasked with coordinating the nation's intelligence activities and providing strategic intelligence to senior policymakers. Its first director, Rear Admiral Roscoe H. Hillenkoetter, faced the immediate challenge of building an effective organization capable of addressing the growing threat posed by the Soviet Union. The CIA's mandate included gathering and analyzing intelligence related to national security, conducting covert operations, and counterintelligence. The agency quickly expanded its operations globally, establishing a network of field offices and developing clandestine capabilities. Early Cold War operations, late 1940s to 1950s. In the early years of the Cold War, the CIA focused on countering Soviet influence and supporting anti-communist movements worldwide. One of the notable operations during this period was the Berlin Tunnel, Operation Gold, a joint effort with British intelligence to tap Soviet military communications in East Berlin. This operation, conducted from 1955 to 1956, involved the construction of a tunnel to access underground telephone lines used by the Soviet Army. The intelligence gathered provided valuable insights into Soviet military planning and capabilities, although the operation was eventually compromised by a mole within the British intelligence community. In Eastern Europe, the CIA supported various resistance movements and dissidents opposing Soviet control. Operations in Hungary, particularly during the 1956 uprising, highlighted the agency's commitment to undermining communist regimes. However, the CIA's efforts often faced significant challenges and limitations, as the Soviet Union maintained tight control over its satellite states. Operation Success, 1954. Operation Success was a covert operation carried out by the CIA in Guatemala in 1954. The mission aimed to overthrow the democratically elected President Jacobo Arbenz, who was perceived as a threat to U.S. interests due to his land reforms and alleged communist sympathies. The operation involved psychological warfare, economic pressure, and paramilitary action, culminating in a coup that installed a pro-American regime. The success of Success demonstrated the CIA's capability to influence political outcomes in foreign countries. However, it also set a precedent for future covert operations that often had long-term negative consequences, including instability and anti-American sentiment in the targeted regions. U-2 Incident, 1960. The U-2 incident in 1960 was a significant setback for the CIA and U.S. intelligence efforts. On May 1, 1960, a U-2 spy plane piloted by Francis Gary Powers was shot down by the Soviet Union while conducting a reconnaissance mission over Soviet territory. The incident occurred just days before a planned summit between U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower and Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev. The U.S. initially denied the true nature of the mission, but the Soviet Union presented evidence, including Powers himself and the wreckage of the plane. The incident led to a diplomatic crisis, the cancellation of the summit, and a major embarrassment for the Eisenhower administration. It also highlighted the risks and challenges of intelligence gathering during the Cold War. Bay of Pigs invasion, 1961. The Bay of Pigs invasion was one of the most notorious failures in CIA history. In April 1961, the agency launched an invasion of Cuba using Cuban exiles trained and equipped by the CIA. The goal was to overthrow Fidel Castro's communist government. However, the invasion was poorly planned and executed, resulting in a decisive defeat for the exiles and a major embarrassment for the Kennedy administration. The Bay of Pigs fiasco led to significant introspection within the CIA and the U.S. government. President Kennedy assumed responsibility for the failure but also ordered a thorough review of the CIA's covert operations. The incident underscored the complexities and risks of paramilitary operations and the importance of adequate planning and intelligence. Cuban Missile Crisis, 1962. The Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962 was a defining moment in the Cold War and a critical test for the CIA. The agency played a crucial role by providing President Kennedy with photographic evidence of Soviet missile installations in Cuba, obtained through U-2 reconnaissance flights. This intelligence was instrumental in Kennedy's decision to impose a naval blockade on Cuba and demand the removal of the missiles. The 13-day crisis brought the world to the brink of nuclear war but ultimately ended with a negotiated settlement. The Soviet Union agreed to remove the missiles from Cuba in exchange for a U.S. pledge not to invade the island and the secret removal of U.S. missiles from Turkey. The CIA's timely and accurate intelligence was pivotal in managing the crisis and avoiding a catastrophic conflict. Vietnam War, 1960s, 1975. The Vietnam War was a major focus of CIA activities during the 1960s and early 1970s. The agency was involved in both intelligence gathering and covert operations aimed at countering communist forces in Vietnam. One of the most controversial programs was the Phoenix program, which sought to identify and neutralize Viet Cong infrastructure through a combination of intelligence and paramilitary action. The Phoenix program, while effective in some respects, was also criticized for its brutal methods and the targeting of civilians. The CIA's involvement in Vietnam highlighted the moral and ethical dilemmas associated with counterinsurgency operations. The agency's activities in Vietnam also had lasting implications for U.S. foreign policy and the perception of American involvement in foreign conflicts. Church Committee, 1975 to 1976. The Church Committee, officially known as the United States Senate Select Committee to Study Governmental Operations with Respect to Intelligence Activities, was established in 1975 to investigate abuses by the CIA, FBI, and other intelligence agencies. Led by Senator Frank Church, the committee uncovered a range of misconduct, including assassination plots, illegal domestic surveillance, and covert actions that violated U.S. law and international norms. The revelations of the Church Committee led to significant reforms in the intelligence community. These included the establishment of permanent congressional oversight committees, such as the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, to ensure greater accountability and transparency in intelligence activities. Iran-Contra Affair, 1980s. The Iran-Contra affair was a major political scandal during the Reagan administration, involving the covert sale of arms to Iran to fund Contra rebels in Nicaragua, despite a congressional ban on such funding. The CIA was deeply implicated in the operation, which sought to circumvent legal restrictions and support anti-communist forces in Central America. The scandal broke in 1986 and led to multiple investigations and convictions of senior administration officials. The Iran-Contra affair exposed significant weaknesses in the oversight of covert operations and highlighted the risks of bypassing established legal and regulatory frameworks. It also underscored the importance of accountability and transparency in intelligence activities. End of the Cold War, 1989 to 1991. The end of the Cold War marked a significant turning point for the CIA. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 and the subsequent dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991 brought an end to the decades-long geopolitical struggle that had defined much of the agency's mission. The CIA faced the challenge of redefining its role in a rapidly changing global landscape. With the Soviet threat diminished, the CIA shifted its focus to new and emerging threats, including regional conflicts, terrorism, and the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. The agency also worked to expand its capabilities in areas such as economic and technological intelligence. Post-Cold War Reorganization, 1990s. In the 1990s, the CIA underwent a period of reorganization and modernization to address the changing global environment. The agency focused on improving its analytical capabilities and enhancing its ability to respond to a diverse range of threats. This included the development of new technologies and methods for intelligence gathering and analysis. The CIA also expanded its cooperation with other U.S. government agencies and international partners. The end of the Cold War provided an opportunity for greater collaboration and information sharing, which became increasingly important in addressing transnational issues such as terrorism, drug trafficking, and organized crime. September 11 attacks, 2001. The terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001, were a watershed moment for the CIA and the U.S. intelligence community. The attacks, carried out by the Islamist extremist group Al-Qaeda, resulted in the deaths of nearly 3,000 people and led to a profound shift in U.S. national security policy. The CIA faced significant scrutiny for its failure to prevent the attacks, leading to a major re-evaluation of its counterterrorism efforts. In response, the agency intensified its focus on dismantling Al-Qaeda and other terrorist organizations. The CIA played a central role in the subsequent War on Terror, conducting operations in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and other regions to target terrorist leaders and disrupt their networks. War on Terror and Enhanced Interrogation, 2000s. In the aftermath of 9/11, the CIA was tasked with leading the U.S. counterterrorism efforts. This included the use of controversial, enhanced interrogation techniques, EITs, on high-value detainees at CIA black sites. These methods, which included waterboarding and other forms of coercive interrogation, were later widely condemned as torture. The use of EITs and the conditions at CIA detention facilities sparked intense debate over the legality and morality of such practices. Reports by human rights organizations and subsequent investigations, including the Senate Intelligence Committee's report on CIA torture, highlighted the abuses and led to significant reforms in U.S. interrogation and detention policies. Intelligence Reform and Terrorism Prevention Act, 2004. The Intelligence Reform and Terrorism Prevention Act of 2004 was a major legislative effort to overhaul the U.S. intelligence community in response to the failures leading up to 9/11. The act established the position of the Director of National Intelligence, DNI, to oversee and coordinate the activities of all U.S. intelligence agencies, including the CIA. The creation of the DNI aimed to improve information sharing and coordination among the various intelligence agencies, addressing the fragmentation and lack of communication that had hindered effective counterterrorism efforts. The reform also included measures to enhance the capabilities and accountability of the intelligence community. Bin Laden Raid, 2011. The killing of Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda and mastermind behind the 9/11 attacks, was one of the most significant achievements in the War on Terror. On May 2, 2011, a CIA-led operation resulted in a raid by Navy SEALs on a compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan, where bin Laden was hiding. The successful mission was the result of years of intelligence gathering and analysis, demonstrating the CIA's ability to conduct complex and high-stakes operations. The death of bin Laden was a major victory for the CIA and U.S. counterterrorism efforts, although it did not eliminate the threat of global terrorism. Edward Snowden leaks, 2013. The unauthorized disclosure of classified information by Edward Snowden in 2013 revealed extensive global surveillance programs conducted by the NSA and other intelligence agencies, including the CIA. Snowden, a former NSA contractor, exposed details of programs that collected vast amounts of data on individuals' communications, both domestic and international. The leak sparked a global debate over privacy, surveillance, and the balance between security and civil liberties. The revelations led to significant legal and policy changes, including reforms to U.S. surveillance practices and greater oversight of intelligence activities. Russian election interference, 2016. The CIA, along with other U.S. intelligence agencies, concluded that Russia had interfered in the 2016 U.S. presidential election. The interference involved cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, and other efforts aimed at influencing the outcome of the election and undermining public confidence in the democratic process. The findings led to multiple investigations, including Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian interference and potential collusion with the Trump campaign. The CIA's role in uncovering and assessing the interference highlighted the ongoing challenges posed by foreign influence in democratic processes and the need for robust counterintelligence efforts. Modernization under John Brennan, 2013 to 2017. CIA Director John Brennan, who served from 2013 to 2017, initiated significant reforms to modernize the agency and enhance its capabilities. Brennan focused on integrating digital innovation and counterintelligence efforts, creating new directorates to address these critical areas. The Directorate of Digital Innovation was established to leverage emerging technologies and improve the CIA's ability to operate in the digital age. Brennan's reforms aimed to position the agency to better address contemporary threats, including cyber threats and the increasing importance of data and technology in intelligence operations. Challenges of Emerging Technologies, 2020s. In the 2020s, the CIA continues to adapt to rapid technological advancements and the evolving threat landscape. Emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, cyber capabilities, and big data analytics present both opportunities and challenges for the agency. The CIA's ability to integrate and leverage these technologies is critical for maintaining its strategic advantage. The agency is also focused on addressing new and complex threats, including cyber attacks, disinformation, and the proliferation of advanced weapons systems. Current operations and future directions, 2024. As of 2024, the CIA remains a crucial component of U.S. national security. The agency faces ongoing challenges, including geopolitical tensions with China and Russia, global terrorism, and the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. The CIA's focus on innovation and collaboration with other intelligence entities is key to addressing these evolving threats. The CIA continues to play a vital role in gathering and analyzing intelligence, conducting covert operations, and supporting U.S. foreign policy objectives. The agency's ability to adapt to changing global dynamics and technological advancements will be essential for its future success.